Hello, everybody from around the world. Thank you for joining me for my Data Hacked Creative Keynote. My name's Amy Blackman. We're going to take a journey together over the next 30 minutes. I'm gonna tell you some stories. I'm gonna expand your thinking. I'm gonna give you some new tools, and then we're gonna come out the other end, and I'm actually going to resource you with a toolkit that you can take with you to apply some of this radical thinking to your own sector and your own business cases. So let's get started. What if you were a global network and you had just launched your second season of your award-winning, critically acclaimed, and globally recognized documentary series that was watched a decade ago by 500 million people? And season 2 took 10 years to complete and cost more than any other documentary series ever made to produce. And what if it attracted over 12 million viewers in a single country during its first episode? And what if you knew that while 12 million viewers in a single country in a single week is great news right now, in today's fragmented media landscape, it's really just a blip on the radar. Because it is. That's the fragmented media world we're living in. And what if you were also coming under harsh scrutiny from your board for the unprecedented time and money spent on just 6 episodes of content? And what if your task was to immediately deploy a global media campaign to convert your successful broadcast debut into long-term streaming and ad revenue in order to recoup your enormous production spend, which you know will only happen if you can reach a new and younger audience? But what if you had no idea who your audience was? What would you do? If you were the experience design team or the creative team or the media team or the marketing team or the communications team, and you were tasked to solve this high stakes conundrum, how would you approach it? Where would you start? Would you start with launching a digital media campaign, strategic partnerships, seeking sponsorships that you think will help expand your audience, or deploying social content that you think your audience will respond to? Well, let's put ourselves in that team's shoes for a second. We know it's a nature show, and we know our objective is to exceed viewership from the last season and convert those increased viewing numbers into streaming revenue long after the season ends. We might understandably start with an apples to apples growth strategy. We've got a nature show, so we would engage audience segments like nature lovers and people who dig natural history. So imagine that's what we did. Imagine we spent oodles creating original content and deploying a massive social and digital campaign to grow our audience by reaching nature lovers based on our hypothesis that this audience segment must make up, say, 80% of our viewership. Then imagine we find out that nature lovers actually makes up 8%, not 80%. Good night, R.O.E. Apples don't always equal apples. Icebergs don't always equal icebergs. There is so much more below the surface. And more often than not, you jump into your challenge by launching a digital media campaign, creating strategic partnerships, seeking sponsorships you think will help expand your audience, or deploying social content you think your audience will respond to without knowing who your audience is. This is the result. But it doesn't have to go down this way. There is another option. What if we gathered data about who we were making this stuff for? What if we used data to understand our audience before we started creating? And in case you hadn't guessed it yet, the show is Planet Earth 2. And 30 billion views of its iguanas versus snakes clip on YouTube later. The first ever pre-release of a documentary series on Snapchat, a simultaneous US release on BBC America, AMC, and Sundance, the highest viewership of any show ever on BBC America, 233 global markets, breaking international ratings records, and per the BBC's year-end financial report, the standout attribution fact, money. Year one returns of £200 million in revenue and 5-year returns of £900 million. So let's go back to the conundrum. How did the BBC accomplish all of this if they were at the outset wrong about 92% of their audience? With artificial intelligence. Even though Planet Earth 2 attracted an audience of over 12 million viewers in the UK during its premiere, getting to the heart of this audience and understanding who they are beyond basic demographic and viewing numbers posed a significant challenge for the BBC. So global behemoth BBC World, on behalf of their global behemoth Planet Earth 2 franchise, reached out to an AI-driven insights and social intelligence platform called Affinio. And according to Mike Scull, an insights exec at BBC Worldwide, having transcended the natural history genre with record-breaking UK audience figures and an amazing public reception, we were desperate to understand the engaged Planet Earth 2 audience through a social lens. So how did an AI-driven insights platform like Affinio help the BBC? Well, to answer that question, let's first zoom out on what an AI insights platform is, how it works, and what it does. Of course, we always want to know about audience demographics, but to solve a conundrum like this, or how to get people to use our platform or buy our product or engage with our service or become a member of our organization or answer our call to action, we need to know more than just their demographic segment. We need to know what they're into, what are they about, what's important to them. I mean, this slide pretty much conveys everything that's wrong with demographic segmentation. I mean, just so imprecise, the tip of the iceberg, to coin a phrase. I mean, both of these men are English, they're 65 years old, they're married, they have 2 kids, they're affluent, they holiday in the Alps, and they love dogs. But obviously, there's so much more to these characters and their differences than meets the demographic eye. So when we examine what lies beneath the surface of our participants' demographic segmentation, we can come up with creative solutions to our specific challenge, whether it be messaging, content, media campaigns, strategic partnerships, or unique experiences that our audiences will love and remember and talk about. And these creative solutions won't be based on what we think or speculate or assume or conjecture or hypothesize our audience will respond to, but what we know they will, because the data is telling us. So this is what I mean when I use the term data hacked creative, hence the name of this talk. By using AI tools to data hack our creative, we can design something that is entertaining and beautiful and impactful, but also something that people will find deeply meaningful without us having to ask them, what's meaningful to you? Because really, how do you even answer that question? Oh, and when I use the term hack, please don't get your hackles up. I mean a shortcut hack, a happy hack, like a biohack or a life hack, not like a sinister hack, like data stealing or election tampering. So we agree, no hackles going up when I use the word hack, okay? Okay. We don't need to rely on focus groups. The audience is already telling us everything we need to know about them in real time. It's as if we've been hanging out with them for years, and we know them so well that we don't even need to ask them what they want for their birthday. We just know. Now think about what that could do for your next product launch or your next campaign or your next marketing initiative. If you can identify who you're creating it for, and then you can send the AI to go hang out with them, and it can come back and tell you what they're really into. How could that change your marketing and communication strategy, the user experience, and the success rate of your platforms and products and services? And while the Planet Earth 2 example is a digital media and marketing exercise, The data-driven creative approach has huge impact on the building of product and service campaigns. So if you're rolling out a new idea, a new comm strategy, a new engagement technique, or any other endeavor that you use to get people to care about what you built, you're going to care about this. Because now there are tools you can use to specify who your audience is, what they will respond to, and you can design according to that intelligence. I'll show you an example. At my prior company, we had over 80 people working on this super complex multimedia show. It was actually the largest image ever projected. We harnessed every single high lumen projector in Eastern Europe to create an image of this scope and scale. It was a 7-minute story of the constellations and the forming of human myth that combined projection mapping and live score. And besides breaking the world record, it was projected on one of the largest surfaces in Russia, the Ministry of Defense. Picture getting to do a projection mapping show on the equivalent of the Pentagon in the US. It was jaw-droppingly beautiful. I mean, one of the most spectacular pieces of digital art I've ever seen. And the hundreds of thousands of people who saw it live felt the same way. People were literally crying. Traffic was stopped. The city center was shut down. But relative to the strong emotional reaction the show generated in the live moment, if you look it up online, it has a pretty small digital footprint, like 5,000 views on YouTube, 100,000 views on Vimeo, 10,000 shares on Facebook. So except for these small bits of organic user-generated content, this piece of art began and ended with the people who saw it live. And that's not to say that art for art's sake or experiences that are generated in the live moment aren't super important. Of course they are. But imagine if we knew where audiences all over the world who like this kind of stuff were hanging out online. And there was a targeted media plan to extend this beautiful experience to millions of people who weren't there, but would really care about it. And that media extension included a call to action like, go to this and share this, and an objective like, what do we want our audience to think and say and do post-experience? And a quantifiable result, like how many of them did what we wanted them to do in the end. When we started to approach building experiences from the perspective of how to create more beauty in the world and solve business challenges, we had this realization that unless the complex and grand experiences and campaigns we're building are tied back to a measurable business result, we're shortchanging the potential of what we create, and we're being irresponsible to our bottom line business. Everyone in this room, in this gathering, and this forum is creating great experiences and great products for your customers. But can anyone be assured that the beautiful things that you poured heart and soul and capital into will generate ROI? How can we guarantee a new form of ROI for the things we make and that our customers experience? In other words, ROE, a return on experience. And the answer is, using AI to understand what matters to your audience, you can break apart the elements of stories they're telling on their social channels through publicly shared data and convert those elements into creative solutions that you can use to solve whatever business challenge you're faced with. These core elements that are harnessed from broken apart stories are effective because these are the archetypes. This is what touches the very core things about what it means to be human. And when those core things are touched, they result in action. This is hitting a cultural central nerve. And it's what drives people to want to share and to learn and to consume and to adopt and to participate and to join. So now let's go back to Planet Earth 2. How did Affinio break apart Planet Earth 2's brand story and convert those elements into creative solutions that help the BBC solve its very complex problem? with its AI. BBC initially used Affinio to analyze anyone who engaged with the official Planet Earth 2 hashtag over a 30-day period. And there were some expected results, like the two largest segments engaging with Planet Earth 2 were UK current affairs and international current affairs. The engagement here is not surprising. Both segments have a high affinity with BBC and its programming, and you can see that here in the cluster analysis. And of course, there was the expected but way smaller than anticipated nature lovers. But now let's get to some of the unexpected stuff we found. Football fanatics, entertainment and TV junkies, the younger generation of gamers, YouTubers. How is that even possible? While the BBC knew that the show had attracted younger viewers from a ratings point of view, Affinio showed they didn't just tune in, but they were highly surprisingly socially engaged with the show and its content. Entertainment and TV junkies, 13% of the total audience. This audience is actually bigger than nature lovers. And this is the audience who loves reality shows and talent shows. I mean, the fact that they're popping this big in the analytics is gold because it demonstrates that Planet Earth 2 is transcending the genre that this audience knows and loves, solidifying the documentary series as a bona fide cultural sensation. And what's another word for a cultural sensation? A meme. Here's another awesome head scratcher. Gamers, 10% of the total audience. So based on the data output, we can see this segment skews even younger and does not have a high affinity with the BBC. However, Planet Earth 2 is able to engage them. It shows that they like hip hop and gaming platforms, of course, like Rockstar and EA and PlayStation. And a nature show narrated by Sir David Attenborough. It's baffling. Now, for the cherry on top, YouTubers. This is 9% of the total audience. And like the gamer segment, they're even younger, right? Their interests cannot be further from BBC type of programming. They're all about pop culture and influencers and YouTube celebs and supermodels and movie stars. So beyond simply providing a snapshot of the audience segments engaging with Planet Earth 2, the AI behind Affinio's platform revealed and validated the show's popularity among some totally unexpected, yet very active and very important audience segments. BBC Worldwide had hoped that the series would attract a younger generation. However, the analysis solidified that younger skewing audience segments who we could now name, identify, find, communicate, and engage with were way more prominent and way more active than initially predicted. The big takeaway, Affinio data validated that Planet Earth 2 was gaining traction with younger audience segments, exactly what the BBC had hoped for and needed in order to secure their original objective. Remember, their original objective was to secure ongoing streaming revenue, which in general, their core audience does not engage with, right? These people watch TV old school style, so they watch broadcast TV. Now, the BBC's got quantifiable data to substantiate their hypothesis that this show is skewing younger and an exact path forward of how and when and where to engage and grow a younger audience. The definition of zeitgeist is spirit of the time. And the definition of a meme is a cultural item that's been repeatedly transmitted. Now, I am personally obsessed with vocabulary, and I could not find a word that exists in the English language to define the unpacked story ecosystem and what it results in. So I made up my own, the memegeist. This is what the AI enables us to find. It leads us to strike the most resonant cultural nerve, the memegeist, which results in impact and action and results. Iguanas versus snakes? Definitely memegeist. So let's dive a little bit deeper into audience solutions that you can use and the difference between tools that listen and tools that think. Oh, and P.S. Affinio is a tool that thinks and analyzes and recommends. But if you don't have resources to enlist a SaaS solution at this time, there's another tool on the market and it's free and you've probably heard of it. It's called Google. And don't worry, you'll be resourced at the end of this talk with a kick-ass tool that will teach you how to think like a data hacker and how to act like a data scientist, even if you only have Google at your disposal. But if you do have resources to engage a SaaS tool, I highly recommend it. Well, for the same reason, I wouldn't try to fix my own roof in a rainstorm. I mean, when in doubt, call an expert to figure it out. You might have dabbled in some social listening tools like what you see in the lower corner, right? On the spectrum of data intelligence solutions, social listening tools mine social channels and then count and aggregate the mentions. So these tools will give a how many people and where they are type of result. And some of them will use algorithms to generate predictive insights about what the audience will lean into based on spikes in their social chatter. So for example, listening can tell us stuff like people are more inclined to like apples because they like apple pie and they're talking about apples on Twitter. But tools that sit in the middle or skew to the upper right are where the special sauce is, because this is where they aggregate listening and predicting with thinking. So thinking tools can tell us people who like apples eat at these restaurants, shop in these stores, watch these TV shows, go to these movies, support these brands, listen to these bands, support these nonprofits, drive these cars, follow these influencers, and so on exponentially. In fact, that's what Affinio did for the BBC. It told them, people who watch Planet Earth 2, visit these websites, read these magazines and books, listen to these podcasts, play these games, watch these shows, use these social channels at these exact times, care about these influencers, see these films, and so on exponentially. AI insights are generated from a thinking machine with a human-like ability to extrapolate and make connections and to infer and to intuit and to recommend. And that's where you get the special sauce. That's where you crack open Memegeist. And then the thinking machine can show us the path forward. The AI will separate consumers into unique clusters based on their behavioral patterns, their shared traits, and their commonalities, which gives us the foundation to apply a unified and very precise cultural strategy for our campaigns. An exponential data-driven sea change is happening. The process of building marketing strategies and campaigns is shifting from create and launch. Now we can lead with audience intelligence so that we can zero in on precision, creative, and high impact results. And when I tell marketers and creatives and designers and thinkers this, they say to me, most of the time, that sounds horrifying. AI is coming for my job. I'm going to be replaced by a machine. It's the singularity. Get out of my office. Don't even talk to me about this. I've literally been shooed out of people's offices for bringing up this conversation. But from having a before and after AI experience, I can report it's been liberating for us as thinkers and creators and designers and strategists, and for our clients and stakeholders. And now, a liberation story. This project was put on hold by the client because of a change in direction. So, it's a bummer, but it's a reality we all live daily. You put some energy into something, you make a proposal, they go another direction. And even though the client changed its go-to-market approach, the feedback we got was that we precisely nailed this brief. And you might have heard of this client. A couple of years ago, the agency that I was with received a challenging experience build opportunity. Amazon approached us to create live immersive experiences that could help convert interest in their Echo device into sales. So we immediately took to our trusty AI friend, and it pointed us directly to the core of the brand challenge, which was smart confusion, meaning smart consumers were hesitant to commit to a full smart home ecosystem. They could handle incremental pieces like Sonos, right? But they lacked the understanding and capabilities and benefits of a full smart home. So they were smart, but they were also confused. Smart confusion. Then our AI pal got exactly to the core of Echo and Alexa's narrative, which is 90% of affinities around smart home referred to human moments at home, only 10% related to tech. The core message, technology does not make a home. 2 out of 3 affinities linked Alexa to personal relationships. Alexa's more like a family member, not just a virtual assistant. The core message, humanity is greater than technology. So our humans, not the human thinking machine, but the actual human data strategists and creatives thought, what if we gamified a smart home? Maybe that's an angle to bring the technology wow factor to life and still deliver on education, to overcome smart confusion, and provide human interaction that we know is a priority for our audience. The solution? With projection mapping, surround voice control, holograms, the creative proposal was to turn an entire city square, this is Union Square in Seattle, into a giant smart home. It was a smart block party on a massive scale. And this experience conveys Alexa's tech and smarts, but also shows her humanity. It provided an opportunity for people to interact with it and to have human connection to it. And it demystified the smart confusion. And the client feedback was brief nailed, wow effect achieved, core message conveyed. But we decided we're going to move deeper into brick and mortar instead, and we're going to sell our Echoes there. Little did we know at the time that the brick and mortar they were referring to was the purchase of Whole Foods, but that's a different story for a different time. In the meantime, they did ultimately completely shift their approach and language about how to position Alexa in the market. And it was in the form of a commercial. And this commercial aired on a little bitty sporting event in the US in 2018 called the Super Bowl. And this is the result.
In Austin, it's 60 degrees with its...
Alexa?
Amazon's Alexa lost her voice this morning, causing a
Alexa lost her voice? How is that even possible?
We have the replacements ready, just say the word.
And you're sure this is gonna work?
Yeah.
Alexa, show me a recipe for a grilled cheese sandwich.
Pathetic. You're 32 years of age and you don't know how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. Its name is the recipe, you
Alexa, how far is Mars?
How far is Mars? Well, how am I supposed to know? I've never been there. This guy want to go to Mars. For what? There's not even oxygen there.
Alexa, set the mood.
Now setting the mood. You're in the bush and you're just so dirty and you're so sweaty because it's hot in that bush.
Alexa, reboot.
Alexa, play some country music.
I
don't dance now, I make money moves.
No, Alexa, country music.
I be in and out them banks so much I know they tired of me.
Alexa, call Brandon.
I'm afraid Brandon is a little tied up. But do let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Jessica? Good boy.
Thanks, guys, but I'll take it from here.
To the humans in the room, the process to touch hearts and minds is still very much human-powered. It takes humans to discern what questions to ask the AI. It takes humans to interpret the results. It takes humans to create beautiful, delightful manifestations of those results. We can use thinking machines to data hack our way to more meaningful and more impactful human experiences. So my hope is when you leave here today, you might think differently about technological intelligence and thinking machines as tools that don't undermine or replace our creativity or our humanity, but as tools that can augment them. So let's become creative data hackers and futurists and more human all at the same time. Thank you for listening, and I will be available for Q&A, and you guys will all get a copy of the Strategy Starter Kit. Thank you. Bye-bye.